I'm Emily Harper, 30, a marketing exec who thrives on crafting campaigns that stop people in their tracks. I've got a thing for life's small pleasures, a flawlessly brewed latte, a sunset run with the perfect playlist, or a cozy night in with a glass of Pinot. For 6 years, my heart belonged to Jake Sullivan, also 30, a graphic designer with a boyish grin and a goofy charm that could melt anyone's defenses. We were the couple everyone envied, the kind our friends dubbed relationship goals at every brunch or bar crawl. Our story kicked off at a rooftop party 6 summers ago, the city skyline twinkling below us. I was sipping a mojito, laughing with friends, when Jake sauntered over and dropped the cheesiest line I'd ever heard. "Is your name Stella?" "'Cause you're the only star in this sky." I rolled my eyes, but his lopsided smile and earnest vibe hooked me. By the end of the night, we were tucked in a corner, trading stories about our favorite bands and childhood dreams. Felt like fate. From there, we built a life that felt like a rom-com montage. We moved into a cozy apartment downtown, its walls soon covered with Polaroids of us, kissing at music festivals, hiking in the mountains, or just goofing off in our tiny kitchen. Lazy Sundays meant pancakes and coffee, Jake flipping them with exaggerated flair while I teased him about his chef skills. We'd lie in bed, dreaming of a future with a big backyard for our kids to run wild in, maybe a dog or two chasing them. When Jake proposed last spring, it was pure magic. He'd strung fairy lights across our favorite park, got down on one knee, and barely got the words out before I was sobbing, "Yes!" I flung my arms around him, the rings sparkling under the glow. Planning our wedding was a whirlwind of joy. We toured a stunning venue with floor-to-ceiling windows and city views, tasted decadent cakes, chocolate hazelnut was our fave, and bickered playfully over whether an open bar was worth the budget hit. I'd catch Jake's eye across a vendor meeting and think, this is it. We're unstoppable. Then, in one brutal moment, my fairy tale imploded. It was a random Tuesday, and I ducked out of work early, eager to surprise Jake with his favorite Thai takeout, spicy pad CEW extra peanuts. Humming to myself, I climbed the stairs to our apartment but froze when I saw a gaudy gift bag by the door. Pink, glittery, and screaming tacky, it had a tag dangling from the handle. "To the dopest groom ever, you earned every wild second." Connor. My stomach plummeted. Connor, Jake's loudmouth college buddy, was a walking red flag, pushy, obnoxious, and obsessed with epic nights out. He'd always rubbed me the wrong way, his frat bro energy clashing with my low-key vibe. I tolerated him for Jake's sake, but that note screamed trouble. Wild seconds? What the hell does that mean? I hauled the bag inside, my hands trembling despite my attempts to stay calm. "It's probably nothing," I told myself. "Just Connor's stupid sense of humor." I dumped the contents on the kitchen counter. A cheap plastic crown, a groom's last ride sash, and a shower of glitter that I'd be vacuuming up for weeks. Typical bachelor party junk. But then I saw the panties, crumpled, lacy, and definitely used. My pulse roared in my ears. A gag gift, right? Connor's just being a creep. I tried to laugh it off, but my gut was screaming otherwise. Then my fingers brushed against a USB drive tucked at the bottom of the bag. It was small, unassuming, but it felt like a grenade. I don't know what possessed me to plug it into my laptop. Maybe some part of me already sensed the truth, but I did, and it shattered me. The video started innocently enough. Jake and his buddies were at some pulsing club, neon lights flashing, beers raised, and a toast. Jake, wearing that dumb sash, grinned like he was king of the world. I almost smiled, thinking, okay, just guys being guys. But the scene shifted and my heart sank. Camera zoomed in on Jake, drunk and smug, grinding against dancers in skimpy outfits, his hands roaming like he'd forgotten I existed. My chest tightened, breath catching in my throat. Connor and the guys were whooping, cheering like it was a damn sporting event. Then came the knockout blow. Jake, with a cocky smirk I'd never seen before, led 3 women, strangers with sly smiles, toward a private room in what looked like a grimy hotel. Connor's voice boomed through my speakers, dripping with sleaze. "Jake, you legend! Groom of the freakin' year! The screen went black, but my world was already in ruins. I sat there, frozen, staring at the blank screen. The man I'd loved, the one I'd trusted with every piece of my heart, had betrayed me in the most brazen, humiliating way. And Connor? That slime had filmed it like a trophy, proud of the destruction he'd helped orchestrate. My hands shook, my mind racing. How had I missed this? Were there signs I'd ignored? Jake's late nights out, his boys' weekends with Connor, had I been blind all along? The life we'd built, the dreams we'd shared, felt like a cruel joke. I wasn't just heartbroken. I was furious at Jake, at Connor, and at myself for believing in a love that was never real. Hey everyone! How are you feeling today? I hope you're doing well. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'd love to hear which country you're tuning in from. I truly hope this story helps you relax and unwind. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I highly recommend you do it now because every video here isn't just a story, it's also a life lesson that might just change the way you see things. The rage and heartbreak hit me like a freight train, tearing through every piece of the life I thought I had with Jake. I wanted to scream, to storm into our apartment and demand answers, to make him feel the same gut-wrenching betrayal I was drowning in. But I didn't. I'm not that girl, the one who loses it and gives him the satisfaction of seeing me break. Instead, I got cold, calculated. Jake thought he could humiliate me and walk away unscathed. He was dead wrong. I was going to make sure he and his sleazy sidekick Connor felt every ounce of the consequences. I moved fast, like some part of me was on autopilot. I grabbed my suitcase from the closet, the one we'd used for our trip to Napa last summer, and started packing. Clothes, shoes, my laptop, chargers, whatever I could fit without wasting time. I didn't care about the fancy coffee maker we'd splurged on or the couch we'd spent weeks picking out. Let Jake have it all. I was done. My hands shook as I zipped up the bag, but my mind was clear. I wasn't just leaving him. I was torching the whole damn fantasy we'd built. I sat at our kitchen table, the one where we'd planned our wedding over takeout and wine, and started making calls. First, the venue, a ritzy ballroom with chandeliers that cost more than my car. "Hi, this is Emily Harper," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I need to cancel the Sullivan-Harper wedding." Coordinator stammered, asking for a reason. "Personal issues," I cut her off. "Just cancel it." Next, the band, a local indie group we'd booked after seeing them at a festival. "Sorry, the wedding's off," I told their manager. I didn't care about the deposits we'd lose. Money was nothing compared to the betrayal burning in my chest. With the wedding in ashes, I needed to get out. I couldn't stay in the city where every corner screamed memories of Jake. I Googled quiet getaways near me and found a lakeside resort 2 hours out, a cozy spot with cabins, fireplaces, and views that promised peace. I booked a week, paid up front, and didn't blink at the price. I threw my bags in my car and drove, the city skyline fading in my rearview mirror. For the first time since I'd seen that video, I felt like I could breathe. My phone buzzed nonstop, Jake's name flashing across the screen with calls and texts. "Babe, where are you?" I'm freaking out. "Emily, I'm so sorry, it's not what you think. Please, just talk to me." Each message made my blood boil. Not what I think. I'd seen him lead those women into that hotel room, heard Connor's disgusting cheers. I turned my phone to silent and let him stew in his panic. The resort was perfect, remote, quiet, with a deck overlooking a glassy lake. I dropped my bags, sank onto the bed, and let out a shaky breath. Alone at last, the weight of it all hit me. 6 years, countless memories, all our plans gone. But I wasn't going to cry. Not yet. I had work to do. Connor, that smug instigator, was first on my list. He wasn't just Jake's hype man. He was the architect of this mess, egging Jake on and filming it like some twisted trophy. I downloaded a burner number app, didn't want him tracing me, and texted him. "Meet me at Brood Awakening on 5th tomorrow at noon." We need to talk about Jake. His reply came fast. Yo, Emily, what's up? Is Jake okay? I didn't respond. Let him sweat. The next day, I drove back to the city, my nerves buzzing but my resolve ironclad. Brood Awakening was packed with the usual hipster crowd, the air thick with coffee and pretension. Connor strutted in right on time, looking like he'd walked off a bad reality show, bright red blazer, sunglasses indoors, the works. He spotted me, flashed a cocky grin, and slid into the chair across from me. What's this about, Em? You're acting like someone died, he said, leaning back like he owned the place. I didn't flinch. Cut the crap, Connor, I said, my voice low and sharp. I saw the video. The USB you left at our door. A real classy move. His grin faltered, but he tried to play it cool. Whoa, chill. It was just a bachelor party. Guys get wild, you know? No big deal. No big deal. I slid my phone across the table. The screen opened to a screenshot of his text to Jake. Groom of the century! You killed it last night, bro, don't feel bad, it's your last free pass. His face went pale like he'd seen a ghost. You recorded my fiancé cheating on me, I said, my words slicing through the cafe noise. You cheered him on while he threw away everything we had. And you thought you'd just drop it off like a party favor? Connor stammered, his usual swagger gone. Look, it was just a bit of fun, okay? Jake was drunk, it didn't mean anything. I leaned in, my eyes locked on his. Fun? You call filming your best friend betraying me fun? I'm going to make sure everyone knows what a backstabbing creep you are. His mouth opened, but no words came out. I grabbed my phone and stood, leaving him sitting there, looking like a kid caught stealing. Driving back to the resort, I felt a spark of satisfaction. Connor thought he was untouchable, but I'd rattled him. He wasn't my only target, though. Jake was still blowing up my phone, his texts getting more desperate. Emily, I'm losing my mind. I love you, please let me explain. Explain what? That he accidentally hooked up with 3 strangers? I wasn't ready to face him, not yet. But I wasn't going to let him or Connor slink away from this. I started planning my next move, Jake's parents. William and Margaret Sullivan, old money types who acted like their son was a saint, needed to know the truth. They'd always looked down on me like I wasn't quite good enough for their precious Jake. Now they'd see who he really was. I wasn't just walking away. I was going to burn their perfect little world to the ground. As the lake came into view outside my cabin, I felt a strange calm settle over me. Jake and Connor had lit the match, but I was about to start the fire. I wasn't done yet. Jake and Connor thought they could sweep this under the rug, but I was just getting started. My next stop was the Sullivan family estate. William and Margaret, Jake's high society parents who lived in a mansion that screamed old money and older grudges. They'd always treated me like I was one step below their precious son, the perfect Jake Sullivan, their golden boy who could do no wrong. Every dinner at their place felt like an audition, with Margaret's tight smiles and William's backhanded comments about my cute little marketing job. They'd bragged about Jake's charm, his talent, his future as if I was just lucky to be in his orbit. Well, I was about to flip their world upside down. I grabbed the USB, the one with the video that had shattered my heart, and drove to their pristine neighborhood, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. This wasn't just about telling the truth. It was about making sure everyone who'd propped Jake up saw him for the fraud he was. I pulled up to their gated driveway, the kind of place that made you feel small just standing there. Margaret answered the door, her perfectly styled hair and pearl necklace making her look like she'd stepped out of a country club ad. "Emily, darling," she said, her voice dripping with fake warmth. "We've been so worried. Jake says you've been distant." I forced a smile, biting back the urge to scream. "I need to talk to you and William. It's important." She hesitated, sensing something was off, but ushered me into their cavernous living room. William was sprawled in his leather armchair, a glass of scotch in hand, flipping through a Wall Street journal. He looked up, his bushy eyebrows furrowing. "Emily," he grunted, "what's this about?" "Jake's been a mess, says you're not answering his calls." I sat on their pristine white couch, the USB burning a hole in my purse. "You need to see something," I said, keeping my voice steady despite the storm inside me. "It's about Jake's bachelor party." Margaret's face tightened, but she nodded. I pulled out my laptop, plugged in the USB, and hit play. The video filled the screen. Jake, drunk and smug, grinding against dancers in a seedy club, his hands wandering like he didn't have a fiancé waiting at home. Then the hotel room scene, him leading those 3 women inside, Connor's voice cackling, "Groom of the freaking year!" Margaret gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. She sank onto the sofa, her face crumpling. No, my Jake wouldn't do this," she whispered, tears welling up. William shot to his feet, his face red as he slammed a fist into the wall, leaving a dent in the plaster. "That ungrateful little. He's disgraced us," he roared. I didn't flinch. "Jake didn't just betray me," I said, my voice cold as ice. "He made a mockery of your family, too. And Connor? He filmed it like it was a damn trophy." I slid the USB across the coffee table and stood. "You raised him to think he's untouchable. Now you deal with him." Margaret was sobbing now, clutching her pearls like they could save her. "Emily, please, there must be a mistake," she begged. William grabbed the laptop, replaying the video, his jaw clenched so tight I thought his teeth might crack. "No mistake," I said. "That's your son." I walked out, leaving their perfect world in chaos, the sound of Margaret's wails echoing behind me. The fallout was immediate and brutal. That night, Jake's parents laid into him. From what I heard later, William dragged him into the study, tore him apart for humiliating the family, and told him to pack his bags. By midnight, Jake's suitcase was on the curb, his key to the mansion revoked. "Don't come back until you learn to take responsibility," William barked, slamming the door. Jake's text to me went from desperate to unhinged. "Em, please, I'm begging you. My parents kicked me out. I've got nowhere to go." I didn't reply. Let him drown in the mess he'd made. But I wasn't stopping there. Connor needed to feel the heat too. I knew he wasn't just some bystander. He was the puppet master, egging Jake on and loving every second of it. I sent the video and screenshots of his texts to Sarah, another friend who'd been at the bachelor party. Sarah wasn't as slimy as Connor, but she'd cheered Jake on that night, laughing like it was all harmless fun. My message was blunt. "You saw what happened. You didn't stop it. Here's the proof. Don't play innocent." Sarah called me within minutes, her voice shaking. "Emily, I swear, I didn't know it went that far. I thought it was just dancing." I wasn't buying it. "You watched him leave with those women," I snapped. "You clapped like it was a show. You're as guilty as Connor." She stammered an apology, but I hung up. By the next day, Sarah had spilled everything to their friend group, trying to save her own skin. She threw Jake and Connor under the bus, telling everyone she had no idea it was that bad. The group chat exploded, and suddenly Jake went from the charming guy everyone loved to the sleaze who'd tanked his own life. Connor, the loudmouth who always craved the spotlight, was now the creepy instigator everyone avoided. The rumor mill churned faster than I'd expected. By the end of the week, Jake and Connor were social pariahs. Jake kept texting me, each message more pathetic than the last. "I've lost everything, Em. My friends, my family, my job. Please give me a chance to fix this." Turns out, his cushy gig at the ad agency, handed to him by his dad's connections, was gone. His boss, already fed up with Jake's half-assed work and constant tardiness, used the drama as an excuse to downsize him. Jake tried crashing at Connor's place, thinking his bro would have his back. But Connor, true to his spineless nature, shut him down. "Dude, I can't deal with your mess right now." Even Sarah, who'd always been the peacemaker, ghosted him. Jake was left couch surfing, bouncing from one reluctant friend's place to another, his life unraveling faster than a cheap sweater. I stayed at the resort, the lake outside my cabin reflecting the calm I was starting to feel. Every time Jake's name lit up my phone, I deleted the message without reading it. He didn't get to play the victim. He'd made his choices, him and those women, him and Connor's stupid cheers. Now he was paying for it. I sipped coffee on the deck, watching the water ripple, and felt a flicker of power. I wasn't just surviving this, I was rewriting the story. Jake and Connor thought they could break me, but I was the one breaking their world apart. And I wasn't done yet. Back at the lakeside cabin, I was starting to find my footing. Quiet of the resort, with its whispering pines and shimmering water, was like a balm for my shredded heart. I'd left the city, Jake, and all his lies behind, but the echoes of his betrayal still lingered. My phone, still on silent, lit up with Jake's pathetic attempts to claw his way back into my life. His latest voicemails were a mess, his voice cracking, practically sobbing. "Emily, I've got nothing left. No family, no friends, no job. I know I screwed up, but I love you. Please, just talk to me." Each word dripped with desperation, but I felt nothing but a cold resolve. I deleted every message without a second thought. He didn't get to guilt-trip me into forgiveness. Not after what he did. Words started trickling in through the grapevine, and it wasn't pretty. Jake, the guy who'd once strutted around like he owned the world, was now scraping by in a run-down apartment in the sketchiest part of town. We're talking peeling paint, flickering lights, and neighbors who screamed at each other through paper-thin walls. He'd landed a gig as a waiter at some dive bar, the kind of place where the floors are sticky and the tips are lousy. I heard he was barely making rent, juggling shifts while dodging debt collectors. Part of me, a small, petty part, felt a spark of satisfaction. Not because I wanted him to suffer, but because the universe was finally holding him accountable. For years, Jake had coasted through life on charm and his parents' money, never facing the consequences of his reckless choices. Now, reality was hitting him like a sledgehammer. Connor, his slimy sidekick, wasn't faring much better. After I'd sent the video and text to Sarah, the friend group turned on him like sharks smelling blood. Sarah, desperate to save her own reputation, had spread the word, and Connor's name was mud. The guy who'd always craved the spotlight, who'd thrived on being the loudest in the room, was now persona non grata. I heard whispers that he'd tried to spin the story, claiming he was just joking and that Jake was the real problem. But no one was buying it. Friends stopped inviting him out, and his social media went radio silent. No more flashy posts about his epic nights. Connor had been the match that lit this fire, but now he was getting burned. Meanwhile, I was piecing myself back together. Cabin solitude gave me space to think, to breathe, to rediscover the Emily I'd buried under years of loving Jake. I started journaling, running by the lake, even sketching again, something I hadn't done since college. I wasn't just surviving, I was rebuilding, stronger and sharper than ever. Jake's betrayal had gutted me, but it also woke me up. I wasn't going to let his mistakes define me. I was done being the trusting fiancé who ignored red flags. The world I'd known had crumbled, but I was laying the foundation for something better. As I sat on the cabin's deck, watching the sunset paint the lake in shades of gold, I reflected on what this whole mess had taught me. Here are the 5 lessons I want to share with anyone listening. Trust your gut. Deep down, I'd always sensed something off about Connor and even Jake's partying ways. Those little twinges of doubt? They're your instincts screaming. Don't ignore them like I did for too long. Actions have consequences. Jake and Connor thought they could play fast and loose with no fallout. But life doesn't work that way. Every choice you make ripples out, and sooner or later you'll face the music. You can't control others, only yourself. I couldn't make Jake be faithful or Connor be a decent human. But I could control how I responded by walking away, protecting my peace, and choosing my own path. Real strength comes from walking away. Staying and fighting for a broken relationship might feel noble, but sometimes the bravest thing is to leave. I didn't need Jake to validate me. I was enough on my own. Rebuild on your terms. Betrayal hurts, but it's also a chance to start fresh. I'm not saying it's easy, but you can come out stronger, wiser, and ready to build a life that's true to you. These lessons weren't just words, they were hard-won truths carved into me by this ordeal. I hope they hit home for anyone out there dealing with their own heartbreak or betrayal. You're not alone, and you're stronger than you think. As for Jake, I heard he tried reaching out to his parents, begging for forgiveness, but William and Margaret weren't having it. They'd built their whole identity around their perfect son, and his betrayal was a public humiliation they couldn't stomach. They told him to figure it out on his own. Jake even tried crashing with old friends, but most had cut him off. Sarah, who'd once been his biggest cheerleader, blocked his number. Even Connor, the guy who'd egged him on, wanted nothing to do with him. Jake was alone, scraping by in a world that no longer revolved around him. I won't lie, knowing Jake was falling apart felt like a small victory. Not because I'm cruel, but because it proved something I'd always suspected. You can't outrun your choices. He'd thrown away our love, our future, for one night of ego-stroking stupidity. Now he was living with the wreckage. Connor, too, was learning that being the loudest guy in the room doesn't mean you're untouchable. Their world had imploded, and I was the one who'd lit the fuse. I'm not saying I'm over it. Some nights, I still see that video in my head, hear Connor's laugh, feel the sting of Jake's betrayal. But I'm moving forward. I've got plans, maybe a new city, a new job, a new chapter where I'm the one calling the shots. I'm not the girl who said yes to Jake under those fairy lights anymore. I'm Emily Harper, and I'm building a life that's mine, no apologies needed. If this story hit you, if it made you think or feel something, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Betrayal's a universal language, but so is resilience. And if you want to keep up with my journey or just hear more real talk, subscribe to the channel. Let's keep this conversation going. You never know who's out there needing to know they can rise above the drama too.